start with the agenda of this course first. This course covers basics of database system, types of SQL statements, various DDL statements in detail, select statement, functions, joins, DML statements and subqueries. In this session, we are going to cover the Oracle version of SQL and related syntaxes. Oracle SQL Developer is a free integrated development tool which is used to work with database. SQL Developer provides powerful editors for working with SQL as well as PLSQL. Let's see the demo of how to connect to SQL Developer. Once you have installed the SQL Developer on your machine, such type of SQL Developer folder will be available which will contain one SQL Developer application file. You need to double click on the same. Once it's opened, such type of window will appear. In the left panel, there will be a connection tab. You need to right click on it and say new connection. It will open a window where you need to enter all the credentials. Now you can give some connection name, then username, password. You may click on save password option. In host name, you need to enter an IP address of the Oracle server. Then by default port is 1521 and service name is ORCL. Once you entered all the details, you can click on test connection. If everything is fine, it will give a successful message. Just save the connection for future reference and click on connect. Once connected, you can start executing your queries here. Let's start with the next topic, that is introduction to database system. First, we need to understand what is database. As a definition says, a database is basically a collection of data. It's a collection of related data, and this data should be accessible by many concurrent users at a time. Now let's see what is DBMS. A DBMS stands for Database Management System. It is a set of programs that manages the database. A DBMS is responsible for accessing the data, inserting, updating and deleting the data, maintaining the integrity of data, facilitating backups and recoveries, and optimizing the performance. Now let's see what is RDBMS. RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. Dr. E.F. Codd proposed the relational model in 1970. It is the basis for Relational Database Management System. The relational model contains the following components: collection of objects or relations, set of operators to act on the relations, and maintaining the integrity and consistency of data. Thus, the basic features of relational database are: it can be accessed and modified using SQL statements. It contains a collection of tables with no physical pointers. It uses the set of operators to act on those relations. Now let's see what is ERD, that is Entity Relationship Diagram. An entity relationship diagram is a data modeling technique which is a foundation for relational database. It is a graphical representation of various entities and relationship among them. Main components of the ER diagram are entity, attribute and relationship. An entity is a thing of significance about which information needs to be known. Attribute is something that describes or qualifies an entity. For example, for an entity employee, attributes can be employee ID, employee name, age, gender, salary, etc. An association between the entities is called as relationship. There are various types of relationships available, basically one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship and many-to-many relationship. In case of one-to-one relationship, each row in a table is related to a single row in another table. For example, consider two entities, student and address. One student can have one address and one address belongs to one student. Now next type of relationship is a one-to-many relationship. In case of one-to-many relationship, each row in a table is related to multiple rows in another table. For example, consider two entities, team and player. One team can contain many players, but one player can correspond to only one team at a time. Now next type of relationship is a many-to-many relationship. In case of many-to-many relationship, each row in a table is related to multiple rows in another table and vice versa. For example, consider two entities, employee and project. One project can contain multiple employees and one employee can work on multiple projects at the same time. In case of many-to-many relationship, we need to create a third table, which is a junction table, which will contain the primary keys of both the tables, like that is employee ID and project ID. Now let's start with the next topic, that is constraints. In relational databases, constraints are used to enforce rules on the data in a table whenever a data is modified. The constraint must be satisfied for the operation to succeed. It will also prevent deletion of data from table if there are dependencies from other table. Constraints can be created at the time of table creation or after the table